welcome everybody. Today I'm going to show you how I'm going to go in depth into multiple choice, pull down, and checkbox type questions in Google Forms. So let's make me a little smaller here. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put my little laser pointer on, click the plus button, and I'm going to add a multiple choice type question. And I can just put the type of question. And I could just put, any, pick a drink to bring, which is kind of cool. But there's even cooler with this. So you can add it in, and then you can kind of add option 1, option 2, option 3. And when you click on the options, you can say juice, my goodness, don't judge me on spelling, juice, soda, and water. So you can add items that you want to bring in there, and it'll just kind of show up, and it's plain and simple. If you want, you could switch between multiple choice and drop down. And what I'll do, so let me go in here. Now, let me show you something else cool that it does. And I love this about Google Forms. So I'm going to hit a new plus button. And I'm going to change it I'm going to keep it as multiple choice, which is fine. But I'm going to say, pick a day of the week. And look what it did. It knew my question right here, and it gave me suggestions. So I'm just going to click add all right here, and it brought in all the items that I put in here. So that's a really cool feature. The other option that I'm going to have, and I'll actually show you on the pick a drink one, is I can go down through and I can click add other. And what this does is it leaves a blank sport right there. So let's go up and see what this looks like. So I'm going to go through and I'm going to hit my little preview button right there. And we're over in preview. I pick a day of the week. And if I pick a day of the week, and if I go to pick a drink, I can either pick a drink or I can say other, and maybe I'm bringing milk. Or OJ is OJ. That's closer. So, and then you can click submit, and it'll kind of go through. That's really cool. Now, what else can we do with this? Because that's simple and as expected, but there is more you can do with this. So I'm going to get rid of the pick a day of the weeks. And I'm going to stick with the pick a drink for right now. And we'll get back to the pick a day of the week thing in a second. So what else can I do with this? Well, with a multiple choice question, and if I move my mouse up here, I can add an image to the whole top, which is cool. And, and we can get to that. And maybe I want a thirsty person. So I'm going to go here, search for tea. Yeah. And we'll kind of go with the little girl at the water fountain. That's kind of cool. Select. So we have a nice big drink we can do. And let's see what that looks like. So I'm going to click out. And that adds a nice, cancel. I actually want to just submit another response. And that actually brings up a nice little image. And maybe you have, especially if you're a teacher, maybe you have an image and you want to say, what is this an image of? Different animals. So especially at the lower grades, you might have, a tiger versus a jaguar. And you want to say, do you understand the differences between them? So that's maybe a way that you can add that in here. But there's another thing you can do. And I'm going to actually take out this picture. I'm going to click here and I'm going to remove this picture, because something else that I think is really neat is with a multiple choice question, you have the option to add an image for each option. So I'm going to click here and I'm going to hit search, and I'm going to search for orange juice. And I'm going to pick out some orange juice right here. And then I'm going to look at soda. Search in soda. And we're going to look at water. And I probably want bottled water. Bottled water. There's my images. So 1, 2, 3. And now let's see what this looks like. So I'm going to now go to my survey. I'm going to refresh the screen. And here we go. We have pick a drink to bring, and you can make it visual. So they don't need to have read the words. So that's really good for primary. That's just really good viewing. I mean, that's good practice to kind of go through and say, I want images and other things like that. So it's really cool that you can put that in there. So I'm going to go back here, and I'm going to kind of go, and I'm actually going to delete this question and go back to the, or actually let's keep on going with this one. Okay, so on this option, as I've shown in other videos, all the questions have some extra things you can do, pulling right down, going down to the bottom and clicking here. So if I click here, I have the idea that I can add a description. The description puts something on up here, and it's a little bit of a helper text. It doesn't show up in the results. In this case, these will be 5. Please plan. Now, what do 5-year-olds like? Plan accordingly. Probably shouldn't have it in there. I know my 5-year-old, or my youngest daughter when she was 5, was not, neither one of my kids when they were 5 were drinking soda. It's not happening. So I was able to add the description. I think I was talking about the go-to selection based on answer. That is an entire video in of itself. Very powerful. I use it quite often, but it is something that I want to not go in during this video. Very cool stuff. The last option is shuffle order. Great for when you use this for quizzes. And there's even more quiz functionality built into this. And again, that'll be another video. But I want to go into, we can shuffle the order. I can then look at, and if I hit refresh, you know, right now orange juice is first. I'm guessing if I hit refresh again, now water is first. So it keeps it keeps it lively. So that is a really cool thing. And lastly, I mean, you can hit it required or not required. That's fine. So if I hit required, now it's required. They won't let you go without choosing it. There we go there. Right here is deleting the question, and right here is duplicating it. So what are the other options that we have? So let me go through. I'm going to click the plus button right here. And that should add a question down here. And then I'm going to change multiple choice. And I'm going to change, actually I'm going to skip checkboxes for a second. I'm going to go to Dropdown. Now, the reason why I skipped checkboxes and went to Dropdown, and I'm actually going to type in here, let's say, pick a month. And I'm going to add all. And there's some other key ones in there. I don't know all of them. I just know the days of the week, and the month is one that shows up. It's one of those times that you're typing in there and all of a sudden it shows up with options like, yeah, I want that. But I want this as a drop down. And I'll show you what that looks like. And I might just delete the, I'll leave that up there. So I'm going to go back to my thing, and I'm going to hit refresh on the page. There's my things to move again. And now if you look, there is a drop down. So it keeps a really small option for you to choose, which is nice. Going back to my survey, the drop downs have, if I click the little doohickey here, it has the description, go to answer, shuffle order, same options as the multiple choice. The difference that it does have, if I click up here, I can add an image to the top section, which we looked at and looked kind of nice, but it does not have the option right around here to add an image, where if I was over here and I add an option and I move my mouse over, you can see that there is the add an image under multiple choice, but under drop down, that does not exist. But it does take up less space in your form. So there's a little give and take right there. Well, moving on, there's one more type of question I would like to add, and that's the checkbox, and that's still under, so I'm going to hit add. And then we have the multiple choice, and I'm going to click that, and I'm going to choose checkboxes. I'm actually going to get rid of the first question that we had with all the pictures in it just to save space. Delete. And the checkboxes, I'm going to click on this little tiny thing right here, which allows us to move it up. And that reminds me of another thing I need to show you. Yep. If you notice on any of these, when you move over the options, it has the little tiny box. That's where you can manually move these options. So if you want to change the option order, you can. Okay, I'm going to go back up to checkboxes because that's what I'm talking about. And I'm going to actually bring, and what's this? Plates, cups, napkins, type of a deal. So I'm going to just do those three. And maybe I'll add the other, which is kind of cool. You will notice that I can add the image to the top. Again, that way you can have an image and you can make this reference that image when you're taking a test. Checkboxes does allow you to have images per option. Really, really cool. So this is looking kind of the same. And if we look at what it looks like, I'm going to kind of go to my survey. We'll hit refresh, reload. And you'll see it has checkboxes that I can put. And there's my little pull down. And I can hit submit. Now, the difference comes when we're looking at it here. When we're looking at the three little dots, you notice it does have the description. That is the same. You can put it in there and add some helper place. Email me. You are able to bring something you sign for. Long text for video, but whatever. Okay, so we're going to hit here. It has the shuffle order option. Again, really good for test taking. But it doesn't have that option go to per question. And that's because you can check multiple items. It does have a response validation. And this is important. So what you can do here with the response validation is you can set how many options it needs to set. You can set, it needs to have at least 2 options, at least 2 questions. So if I selected one and tried to move on, it wouldn't let me. I can say at most 2. So that means I could, if I left the 2 in there, I could click 2, but I couldn't click 3. Or I can say it needs to be exactly 2. And if I try to click 1, it won't go through. If I tried to click 3, it won't go through. So that is the big difference with the check boxes. And we'll see what this looks. I'll keep that at exactly 2. And I'll go here and I'll go back and take a look at what that looks like. So if I click 1, it pops up and says must be exactly. If I hit 1 more, if I go to 3, it yells at me. So it needs just 2 options. And I think if I go here and try to submit, yeah, it's not even letting me submit until I uncheck one of those options, and then I can go down through. And maybe want to thank you very much for listening. If you can, please, if you have any questions, please add them as comments below on the YouTube video. My name is Bjorn Berendt, and thank you very much for listening, and never stop learning.